In this video, I'll be showing you how I made this magnetic truss rod cover. So I pulled out all my scrap pieces of wenge and padauk, and I'm thinking of doing a sandwich of wenge at the bottom and then padauk at the top for the truss rod cover. So I need something that's fairly thin. So in the end, I decided to use these two pieces. And what I'm going to do is to laminate the two together. A portion of this and a portion of that. And all I really need is about 1 inch by 2 inches as my block. So I'm going to cut these out and then I'm going to glue them together. So while I wait for the glue to dry, I want to show you the electronic cavity cover here on the back. And the reason I want to show you that is because I've put magnets here. And the cover plate also has the magnets which will clip on. So the reason I want to show you that is because that's what I'll be doing with the truss rod cover. I'll be using magnets to hold it in place. So the way to install these magnets is to drill a hole in the headstock the size of the diameter of this magnet, and then with CA glue stick that in there, and then the cover will have the opposite magnet in the truss rod cover itself, and those two will lock into place. The one issue though here is under this peg head veneer, this is empty here, and if I put a popsicle stick underneath, you can see that it actually goes quite deep. If I just draw a line here, you can see that all that is actually hollow there. So what I've done is I created this little mahogany block which I'll insert and glue in down there so that when I drill into some solid wood. So now that the glue is dry, it's time to take it out with the clamps. So this is way too thick. I'll need to make this a lot thinner. So I'm at 3/16 of an inch at this point, so half a centimeter. And at this point I don't want to go any thinner. I put a temporary nut on the guitar to try it out, and I think the final height will be just about higher than 1/8. But at this point it's time to carve out the shape of the truss rod. So the next thing to do is to bevel this edge so that it sits flush with the nut. Right now you can see that there's a gap, so I'm going to sand this face down at that same angle as the headstock so that it fits straight with the nut. So here's how I'm doing that. I tilted the bed of this spindle sander to 13 degrees, and that's the same angle as the headstock. Then all I need to do is just run that edge referencing this angle. And now you can see there's no gap. So after much shaping and sanding, this is what it looks like. Now I should give a shout out to Ken over at Boudreaux Guitars. I got the idea for this double lamination from him, from one of his videos, where he beveled the top wood to reveal the one underneath. I'll leave a link to that video if you want to go see it. The bottom is flat. This edge is beveled to sit flush with the nut. We have enough space here at the top to insert the the magnet. And so it's time to move on to drilling the hole for the magnet and drilling the hole here for the magnet. I drew a center line, and then based on the cover, I found a spot on that center line where I would like the magnet to be. I'm going to punch a hole in that spot and then drill with a 1/4 inch Forstner bit, because the magnets that I'm using, basically these are the neodymium magnets. They're 1/4 diameter by 1/10 of an inch, so that's what I'll be drilling here. So I'm going to drill just deep enough for the magnet to slip in there. Okay, next, I positioned the truss rod cover to be visually at the center of the headstock. Then I traced its shape on the headstock itself. Now, next thing I want to do is take a small finishing nail, and I'm going to nail it in . Just a little bit, make sure it doesn't go through the headstock, and make sure it's dead center. Now I'm going to cut off the top, but I'm just going to leave a little bit protruding. Just enough so that I can transfer the nail mark onto this piece of wood. I think I have a little too much still. I'm going to take some off. You only just need a little bit protruding out. Yeah. So now, this is the critical part. As you place the truss rod cover into the spot, according to the lines you had previously, you're going to press down and make an indentation in the truss rod cover. And here it is. So this is where I'll be drilling for the magnet. We can take this out. Now, an issue that we're going to have, and I had already foreseen this, is that the thickness of the magnet is 0.1 inches thick. Now, the thickness of the heads of the cover is just above that 0.15. So we have to be very careful not to go too deep. I'm going to start the drilling with this Frostner bit, but I'm not going to finish it with this because the tip will protrude out on the other side. I'm then going to switch to a more flat head type drill bit of the same size to finish the hole. I could already see I don't know if you could tell, I'm already seeing the padauk underneath, so I have to be very careful at this point. And what I may end up doing is not drilling all the way down, but leaving it protruding out a bit, and then on the guitar headstock drilling that hole a bit deeper, and then the two will meet. So I drilled as much as I feel comfortable drilling. I don't want to go any deeper because I'm afraid I'm going to pop through on this side. So what I'm going to do is drill this hole a little bit deeper. Next, I'm going to put the two magnets in. And then position the cover. So there's a tiny bit of play, but once I glue those in, that should be nice and tight. Tiny bit of CA glue. Now the important thing here is you have to get the polarity of the magnets right. So I've already positioned them correctly so that they will attract and not repel. That's probably too much glue. I don't want squeeze out, so I'm going to take some out. Next I'm going to pop in the magnet. With the correct orientation. Push that in. And there's that squeeze out. I'll wash that out. And again, push the magnet in and keep the polarity correct. Okay, so everything is now done. The magnet is in place, the glue has dried, the cover magnet is in place, and as you can see it's protruding out a bit and it'll fit nicely in that hole. So let's give it a try. I'm going to put the temporary nut in place. Now, as you can see, there's a bit of play, and ideally you would want two magnets, one at the top position and one at the bottom, or perhaps even two at the bottom, but in this case there's no room for that. So instead I'm going to use a finishing nail, drive in two small finishing nails here, and then make the appropriate holes in the truss rod cover, and that should hold it in place, and that will avoid also buzzing when the guitar is strung up. Okay, so with the 2 pins in place, I also have 2 holes in the truss rod cover, and now it's a perfect fit. It really is solid. It's not moving. Of course, it's not the most elegant of solutions to have these 2 brads sticking out, but it'll do.